Well, hey everybody, Backyard Scrapping here. Welcome to part 2 of our little laser diode series. I actually finally got finished breaking these things down. Just for the heck of it, I kept track of the hours, and this is a very, very long and tedious job. It took me probably just a bit over 20 hours and actual work time to break down 100 of these. Now, I did break them down as a salvage. I didn't just, I probably could have done it in less than half the time or even less than that if I just took a couple big pair of channel locks or something and just broke them open and just went after this stuff right here. But I completely broke them down, removing all the screws. We took all of our little gold diodes here, which these are actually, a lot of these are in the newer ones. You don't even have these kind of diodes in them anymore. They're just these little guys, and I mean, or this little, let me see if I can find one. They have these guys and these little tiny boogers right here. So that is what a lot of the newer ones have in it that do, or I guess do exactly the same thing that these do. But as you can see, and there's a little tiny silicon diode in the center of that with three, I mean, super fine gold wires going to there. So that's how far down they've come, and then usually just a couple of these little guys. I also did, salvage whatever copper, this type of copper. This is from where the laser eye, the reader, the thing that goes back and forth, there's little copper coils on that. I'm going to throw that in my copper bearing motors box because that's probably how it would be classed. But to be really honest with you, this weighs nothing. I mean, there's virtually nothing there. And for me to say not to go after the copper, there's not a lot of copper there. Now this, some of these were actually, instead of just being regular metal, that had to be unscrewed off of them, were copper. Also, I saved, and this was probably the longest part here, taking the screws out and getting these lenses, because I actually had to break. Let me grab one and show you. When you're dealing with this thing to salvage everything, in order to get these lenses out, I had to break this housing right here, to get to the lenses. So sometimes 2 or 3 times I had to, take pliers and just keep breaking this to get the lenses out. I don't believe if there's something on them. Somebody said in one of the comments that these actually have a precious metal on them. I don't know for sure. I wanted to do a complete salvage this one time just to see how long it would take. And it takes a long time because these will just crumble up if you don't, do them easily and take the time to do them. Also, this is our little bit of foils we got off of the ribbons, gold-plated foils off of the ribbons. This is our IC chips that we got. A whole bunch of little screws. I think I said before, if you have to fix eyeglasses or hard drives, or you need a little time, that is probably sellable. I mean, this is probably something you could sell on eBay. These little diodes look good, but I don't know how much gold is going to be in them. But we're going to process this stuff. This is actually the little connectors that have gold pins. So I have a little bit more work to do to this stuff to get it ready. Oh, and let's not forget our little wad of magnets, which also took a lot of recovery time, because you have to take and bend this thing open right here, this guy, take this guy out, then bend the arms over to get to the magnets, and kind of twist them a little so you don't break the magnet. So it was a lot of work to get that wad of magnets too. I think, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I think if I was to do this again or to finish these out, I may go after these and this just because it's easy to get to. But for the most part, I think this is where your money's going to be. Like I said, I don't know really for sure. I'm going to have to research about these little crystals and little lenses and stuff. But time-wise, if you don't care and you want to take the time to completely break them down and do a complete salvage on them, hey, go for it. That's what I said. It's up to you how you want to process something. There's no right or wrong way. I've said this before in videos too. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It depends on how much time you want to put into it. So personally, myself, I think I would just take the channel locks and go after this stuff. If these aren't in there, I mean, it's just too much. It's a lot of work to break these guys down. And who knows, I may do it again. Depends on how bored I get this winter. You know, if I want to break them down again, I may break them down again. I know speed-wise, time-wise, you know, we never get paid for our time, but this definitely, 20 hours was a long time, and this, I'm sure, is going to yield nowhere near, 20 hours worth of gold. Even at $10 an hour, there's not $200 worth of material here. So we know we're not going to get paid for our time. Also, we're going to get outside, and I am going to process all of this. I want to see what 100 of these totally yielded. So we're going to take these, and we're going to put them in the little furnace out there, and we're going to burn these off so that we can process them. So we're going to burn this up. I'm going to go ahead and pull the pins out of here, and then we are going to toss everything in a little bit of hydrochloric acid. I also still have to remove these caps on all of these guys, but we're going to throw it in hydrochloric acid for a day or so to try and get rid of our tin or whatever, some aluminum, if these arms are aluminum. Then we're going to process this in nitric acid, because otherwise this video is going to be a month away. So that's going to add some more cost to it. So this stuff is going to go in this is just going to go in a bag. That'll go in my screw jar. That'll go in my copper jar. This will go in my copper bearing motors. I've got to take the caps off of all of these. I have to pull the pins here yet. And then I'm going to take this stuff. In fact, I might take this out right now and go ahead and get it in the kiln and get it burning off. So we'll get back at you in just a bit. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take these out and get them burning off. That way I can be working on this stuff while this is burning. Alright, so we'll be back at you in a bit. Okay guys, we are outside, and I actually have my little my mold heating furnace set up, and I've got an old graphite mold in there. So what we're going to do is we are just going to pour all these little guys in that mold, like so. Make sure we get them in there. And let me get a couple that have dropped out. And we're going to use this to burn up our chips here, because we don't have enough of them, and they're very small. So there's no point in like trying to build a fire or something else, and this will actually get more than hot enough to do this. Okay guys, we are back inside. Our little chips are out there in the little mold heating furnace to burn up. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start pulling these little tiny pins, and then we're going to take the caps off of these. So I will either skip through or time lapse this, because I mean everybody's done this or knows that this is very boring. So we'll get back at you in just a second. Okay guys, so there is our pins. That is the little bit of pins that we got from our 100 pickups. So we actually had a couple little tiny pieces here that I couldn't get the pins out of, so they will just go over here, but nothing that's going to add up to anything that will make a difference. This is our junk. So I'm going to run outside and check on our other stuff, and I'll be right back at you. Okay guys, I checked our stuff. I actually had to repair the coil. It broke. So our stuff is out there burning off. There's our pins. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to remove these little caps. These little guys right here. And then we are going to be ready to put this stuff in some dilute nitric acid. I think I'm going to go ahead and just use you know, a low percent nitric acid to dissolve our base metals. I really should put these in hydrochloric acid first, but we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. It just depends. So I'm going to go ahead and get these caps off, and we'll get back at you in just a bit. Okay everybody, we are done decapping our diodes, so that's what it looks like with all the little caps off of them. I gotta say it looks pretty good, but that doesn't mean it's going to yield good. I've had things that looked wonderful that didn't yield worth a poo-poo. So there's our caps. They can go in our scrap metal bucket. This is our pins. I'm going to go ahead and mix our pins and these because we're going to detin them. We're just going to put them in some in a beaker and put some hydrochloric acid on them and get the tin off of them. So that's what we have. I have our other little diodes and IC chips out in the little mold warming kiln. I have burned those off, so we will crush that up. We're going to keep that separate because if there's any burnt copper in there, we're going to make copper too, so we're not going to put that in with these. We'll do these by themselves, and we'll crush those up and put them in a separate beaker, because like I said, we will actually get some copper too to form from those, because I'm sure there's a little bit of burnt copper on them. Let me get outside, get this set up, and we're probably going to quit for the day and get into dissolving this stuff off tomorrow. So let me go ahead and say I'm going to call this video right here, and we will do our nitric acid dissolve tomorrow. So we'll see you guys in the next video.